So there's something trending online. I think it was really Ikeji that recently replaced her son's surname with hers. This has led to different reactions from Nigeria saying, why is this happening? Especially when the Tonto Dikeh also changed her son's name to her own. Now, considering we're a patriarchal society, our cultural heritage and all that, do you think is the right thing, especially for a single mother who has obviously raised her child herself, most cases? Shouldn't she have the right to name her child her own name?
I know that there are climes where the mother owns the child, but there are other climes where the father owns the child. So I will ask a question, what is obtainable in this society? The father actually owns the child, and it is right that you give the surname of the child, you make the surname of the child, from the father, which is natural, basic. But then also I'll go further to ask, is there any situation whereby this father is not taking ownership of this child? So there are some people you get pregnant for and they deny the baby. They don't want to have anything to do with the child. If that is the case, I think it's okay if the woman says, okay, why not? Let me give this child my family name since the father is not forthcoming. The problem will be that the father is taking ownership, the father is making himself present, and you decide to take away his right, because it's his right, that's our culture, and give it to your family. But if the father is not doing, like there are some people, so I had a friend who in the university was giving me this gist that she had to change her name at some point in secondary school because the father refused her to answer his name. It was a serious issue and then had to affect all of her papers and everything. Wow. And she felt really dejected that the man rejected her. In that case, the man has said no. So it's okay for you to pick up your family name and give it to your child. But if the man is still very much involved, the man is still trying his best to pay the school fees, to come in, even if you're not living together anymore, I think it would be unfair on the man.
At the end of the day, what is most important for me is the psychology of that child and the thought, the feeling a mother would have to make her change her child's name. A woman in that state will be raising an embittered child who will be emotionally embittered towards the father. For you to change them, you'd have had a conversation that I want to change your name. Your father is not your father. He's not taking responsibility. Your name is going to be this. That environment does not breed support. I have been in close contact, talking and working to emotionally help two people who have been through separation, who grew through having different separate parents, and it is you have no idea. Anybody watching has no idea what the damage their emotional banter with their selves as parents is having on that child, because many children will not talk. This boy is 18 years old, and I was talking to him, and I could reduce the trauma of a child abandoned at 2. And then in between, husband and wife are not talking. Father, all their drama is affecting that child. So for me, it's not about the name. It's about the emotional state of that child, who you are throwing back and forth and using the child as a pawn in the scheme of things. That's a full human being who God has given to you as a responsibility to mold.
In my religion, when the father is not known, a victim of rape, it's only then that the woman names a child. As long as the father is known somewhere, you can't give the child initially the name and then withdraw the name, even if they are fighting. Let that child be clear, except you doubt yourself as to who the father is. You assert it clearly, you don't revert it based on emotion or fight or confusion or whatever, except you doubt yourself. If the father of the child is clear, the child is called by his father's name, till whether the father accepts it or not, but the child knows this. So if the child grows up and you make the home conducive for that child, carefulness is not taken. You have what's it called, sibling marriage. What's it called? What's that word?
Incest.
Incest happening. It's not something you just do based on emotion and lack of care. A child then grows up and says, okay, you didn't care, I don't care.
So, yes, there are cases where somebody was raped, yes, that part. But when a man completely abandons a child to you, where you are the one taking of that child from start, you don't see, you don't see his brake light. Now, the child is not growing. You now want to say, I am the father. Where are you coming from? So I raise this child. The child should bear my name because my father. It's my father's money. I raised this child. My father is the one that is raising this child.
So name is now about how much you spend on the child.
On the child.
Because one popular co-host once told me that a man is the head of the home, not by how much you live.
Thank you. And the co-host is sitting down here. Down here. Okay.
We are emotional beings as women, and when we are in that emotional state, we shouldn't make decisions because we most of the time regret those decisions.
We do.
So it is important that we try to think of the child, put that child as a full human being entity and say, how would this child feel when the child grows up, knowing that my father, public figure, my father, people know my father, people know that this is my father, everybody knows, and then my mom changed my name into this. Most of the time, children rebel in that circumstance. They know that you care. They know that you love them, but the rebellion that you don't want would brew in their hearts if you are acting emotionally concerning them at this stage.
What about a man who raises the child alone? We always think it's only the women that this sort of thing happens to. I'm a living example of a man raising me alone. Why didn't he say, because I've raised you alone, you have no... In fact, my father calls me Bisi. He never called me Obiajulu. Obiajulu is my first name in my certificate. He never for one day called me Obiajulu. He calls me Bisi, even in the pain that my mother wasn't there. He did everything for me alone, single-handedly. But did he stop me from having a relationship? Did he change my name? Somebody else would have struck out. I wouldn't even know that I have a Yoruba lineage. She struck it out. It's not about you. If you decide to bring a child to this life, please. It's not about you. It's about the child. As a mother, as a father, whatever your scatteredness, your misbehavior, your stupidity, do not bring it close to that child. It's not about you. The mental health of the child is very important. If you're not ready, they did not beg you to bring them. If you're not ready to bring them, please use protection. Don't see. There's something I always tell young people. If the person you are knacking, you know that if Bele come aside, you will not stand. Please. Don't knock or use protection. So you don't have that and then, the person is a deadbeat. It's your child. You're supposed to take, two of you gave birth to that child. If one person goes, the next person takes responsibility. Are you doing it for tomorrow so that the child will now come and love only you and all of that? That's wicked. It's your child. Take care of your child. Take responsibility for your child. When the child grows, the child will know you're just assuming this person is not sensible. Your child will know the difference. Your child will see your sacrifice. Your child will be able to do things for you the way they want it. It's not about you changing the name.